Hey gang, I've said it time and time again that prefix lists are probably my least favorite tool when it comes to working with iOS. Now, admittedly, it's a good tool. It allows me to be able to do a lot more than, say, an access list or like a standard or an extended access list. But the thing, my big drawback or my big beef with IP prefix lists is I can't type show IP prefix and see how many times it's matched. So I've gotten kind of spoiled using the idea of regular access lists. Now, what I want to do right now is I want to talk about how we can use prefix lists to do filtering. Now, prefix lists allow me to do a lot of things. For instance, right now in my topology, again, we're doing this load sharing scenario whereby we are connected to R1. And let's just highlight that. Let's illustrate it, make sure that that's the actual case. I'll repeat this. Ping command, excuse me 1 second here. I'll repeat the ping command or trace route that I have, and we can see that I'm load sharing to reach this network. 11.11.0.0/24, where it's .11. Now I'm load sharing, so I'm going up this way and that way down to the subsequent catalyst switches and then terminating on R1. Now what I want to do is I want to change this behavior. So what I'm going to say is that I want to learn, so let's do a scenario 1. I want to learn all the prefixes in my infrastructure from R2. That means I do not want to use R3 to reach anything. Now I can use prefix filtering to accomplish this task. So looking at this, let's go ahead and do the basic config. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my configuration, and I'm going to do my configuration on R22. So I don't want to learn anything from R3. So if I do show IP route pipe include via 10.1.223.3, I don't want to learn any prefixes from serial 2/1. Now, I could very easily use the prefix list or the passive interface like we just illustrated to do this, but I want to accomplish the exact same outcome using this idea of a prefix list, except the prefix list is not going to prevent me from forming a neighbor relationship. So let's go in and take a look at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say config T, and I'm going to go to router EIGRP 10, and I'm going to say I want to use my good old buddy, the distribute list. Now, the distribute list is going to allow me to specify a prefix and a gateway, just like we did when we were talking about RIP. So the gateway is going to be the device from which I want to learn information or prefixes, or I'm sorry, information, and the prefixes is what I'm going to learn. So if I wanted to say that I do not want to learn anything from R3, that means I need to do a distribute list where I'm going to say I want to permit all. So I want to permit all prefixes from the gateway so long as that gateway is not R3. And I need to apply, let's see, no, hold on here. I've got prefix list, permit all. I left the prefix off here, so prefix. Permit all, as long as the gateway is not R3, and I'm going to have to do this inbound since I'm doing it on R22. Now let's go ahead and create these access lists. First of all, how do I tell the iOS enabled device that I want to permit all prefixes using a prefix list? So it's going to be IP prefix list. No, let me get out of the router process. IP prefix list, and I'm going to say permit all to match the syntax that I used here. And I'm going to permit all by saying specifically, let's just spec it up and say sequence 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say match 0.0.0.0/0 less than or equal to 32. So this means I don't care, and the mask can be less than or equal to 32, and everything will be fine. That's going to match all of my traffic. I got one too many. See, IP, I left my permit off, sorry. Permit. There we go. So that is my permit all. Now the other access or the other IP prefix list that we want to do is going to be entitled is-not-R3. So let's take a look and see what's going on with this. How do we do this? Well, I need to create an IP prefix list. IP prefix list sequence, we'll go ahead and just say sequence 5, and I'm going to say deny, and I want to deny anything coming from, let's see here, IP, we said we'd use this name, is not R3. Man, I'm all over the place, guys. I'm sorry. Prefix list is not R3, sequence number 5. And I'm going to say I want to deny anything coming from 10.1.2.2.3/32. Now that means I need to have an implicit permit for everything else. So I'm going to say sequence number 10 permit. And what am I going to permit? I'm going to permit everything again, just like we did before. 32 less than or equal to 32. It should be 0, sorry. So I've got these two values. Show IP prefix list. So I've got my two prefix lists. Permit everything, provided it's not from R3. So now let's go through and do our show IP route, EIGRP, and see what we're learning. Well, notice I have no prefixes being learned from serial 2/1. Let's try that again. Show IP route EIGRP. We'll do show IP route EIGRP. Pipe include via 10.1.2.2.3.3. Nothing's in my routing table. Let's see if there's not a mistake in here. Let's say via, but not via, let's say serial 2/1. Nothing in my routing table. Let's do a trace route to 11.11.0.11, and you'll notice we're going to go through switch SW1 or CAT1, which means we're sending all of our information this way to reach R1. Now the problem is just like before, what happens if I lose my connection to R2? Well, if I lose my connection to R2, all I'll do is I'll just highlight this. I'm going to go to R22, where I am. I'm going to say config T interface serial 2/0, and I'm going to shut this down. And the outcome is going to be identical. Show IP EIGRP, show IP route EIGRP, and I'm not learning anything. So the outcome is the same with regard to the passive interface because I'm not going to get any prefixes. However, show IP EIGRP neighbors is still going to tell me that I'm peering with R3. So I'm paired with it, but I'm not accepting any prefixes from it. So again, it gets pretty interesting with regard to how we can do this filtration, and using IP prefix lists is a very, very, very handy tool. I don't like the fact that it's not quite as intuitive, and sometimes you got to bounce the logic around, but the main thing that I want you guys to understand is again, it's going to be a tool in your tool belt that's going to allow you to be able to better manipulate your environment and demonstrate to Cisco that you're worthy of your CCIE digits. I'll see you guys in the next video where we're going to talk about how we'll use access lists, specifically standard access lists, to perform similar filtering features. I'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.